Hello and welcome to this episode of the Freedom Seeker Show. I am your host, Yvonne Winkler, and today I would really like to get into the creative process because it's been top of mind for me and it's been something I've been moving through. So it's February, and if you're anything like 80% of the world, we've set some intentions and some goals for 2020, and of course we would now like to see them happen. And preferably we wish that they would have already happened like yesterday. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for things to just move along and go and do. And that's why I've chosen the creative process to be this month's topic, because I think it's really important that we recognize that it is a process, and a process that comes in seasons or in cycles, and that it isn't a process that you start and finish. It's actually cyclical, so it keeps moving around, and you will be deepening. My coach Carrie Parsons actually describes it more like a spiral, so you start and then you just keep spiraling deeper and deeper into this process, and then you might move back up a little bit and then you go back down. So no matter what image you want to take with you for this, I think it's really important that we recognize that it is a cycle, that it has seasons, and that it's not linear, that it is actually a process of just deepening and reflecting and going through these different seasons. Let's dive right in. Let's go into the 5 stages of the creative process with Carrie Parsons. So, welcome to this episode of the Freedom Seeker Show, where we're going to talk about the creative process and why it is so important to understand when we are birthing a new idea into the world or creating something new. So many of us may be in transition. Either we come from a job that we're looking to create a business and build something new in our lives, or whether it is that we are literally new moms and we've just given birth, and now what? Now we have this little baby here. So many of us are on a journey and we're constantly in transition. And so this is a really valuable tool that has helped me a lot and still helps me every day. And that is why I wanted to bring this to the conversation today. So Carrie, tell us about what the creative process is and why it is so important to understand that it is a process.
Yeah, well, the creative process, Yvonne, is uniquely feminine because we embody creation itself, right? We carry the womb. We bring new life forward in our bodies, in the womb space within us. So we, as women, have a very unique and resonant connection to creativity. It's much more in the feminine than it is in the masculine. So the creative process is embedded in us, in our DNA, if you will. So some things that we understand about that is that it starts with a longing. Yeah? So a heart's desire starts with a longing and knowing about that which wants to come into form in our lives. Yeah. So it starts deep within. Maybe I am in a transition time, which is a very kind of liminal space. It's a space between, the in-between. Times of change don't usually go from nothing to something. Yeah. There is a space in there, much like the creation of baby. And the new life begins, but it's 9 months before we actually see that baby materialize in the world.
Yeah, I've always loved that reference of birthing, because, or of creating another human being because it is quite a process, and especially speaking to the lack of control that we have over what is happening. Step then. So the longing is the first step. Is that what we call the desire?
Yes.
So that's the first D is the desire.
First D is the desire.
And that is when we long for something, and possibly for me, it always felt like something that keeps being a story that keeps coming up, you know, or something that keeps lingering and keeps coming up. It's also I identify with it when I'm jealous of someone else.
Sure.
You know, it shows up in jealousy. I want that too, you know, or so nice. That is, yeah, that would be so nice. So that's how it shows up for me, is that longing. So it all starts with a deep longing. You're sitting in your cubicle, you are, you know in the core of your belly that something just needs to change. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, but you haven't quite put your finger on what that is. You've probably had 1,000 ideas. Like common things I hear in my practice is women that have so many different ideas. They come and they say, you know, I want to plant a garden and sell blueberries, and then the next moment they want to sell the flowers, and then another moment they want to be marketing and branding. And so there are so many different things we're inspired by, and we do well, and then we just don't know what to market ourselves in. So for the purpose of this creative process, I'm going to use business ownership primarily because that's the wheelhouse I work in. But know that this creative process applies to no matter what it is you're creating. Whether it is you're creating a new family or a piece of art or a business, you can apply these stages to all of your creations, okay? So desire is the first stage of the creative process because it all starts with a desire. You have a longing for something, you desire to be somewhere else or to do something different or to feel in a different way. So as we're talking about feelings, I'd like to dive quickly into the work of Danielle Laporte and the desire map, because that's what that's all about, is how do you want to feel? And she actually says, knowing how you want to feel is the most potent form of clarity that you can have. When we set goals in January to lose weight or to buy a car or to have a new computer or to create a business and to replace our income with that new business in the first year, or whether it is that we want to travel more or we want to spend more time with our family, whatever the goal is, we usually attempt it from an out of ourselves point of view. So we start from outside and we work inwards. And desire mapping actually turns that whole thing around and starts from the inside working outwards, because we are not looking to have, you know, the money and the house and the kids and the business and all of that. We're looking to feel the way we want to feel when we have those things. It's all in the feeling of it. So let me give you an example. Many of us desire to have more money. But when you actually lean into that, what does more money feel like? Then you understand that it isn't about having $100 more or $1,000 or $10,000 more in a bank account. It is about the feeling of, maybe for you it might be safety, security, maybe it is about freedom. But it's a feeling that's behind the desire to have more money. Let's say you want to drive an Audi. It's not the act of going out there to buy an Audi that drives you. It's, get it, drive? It's the feeling that you feel when you're sitting behind the wheel of an Audi and you're riding on the highway with that. That's what you're looking for. And even deeper than that, you're looking for a deeper feeling of maybe luxuriousness, or a feeling of abundance, or a feeling of stature, or a feeling of accomplishment. So when we're diving into desire, the deeper we go and the more we get in touch with our feeling around how we want to feel, the faster we can create that feeling without having to necessarily accomplish, buying the Audi or having the $1 million house or being on a vacation in Tuscany. We can recreate those feelings in different forms for us daily, so we can generate those feelings in a different way, and we don't have to wait for something outside of ourselves to exist for us to feel the way we want to feel. But more importantly, for today's purposes, when you are really in touch with that desire, that feeling that you want to feel, it is going to be the driver, the captain of your journey on the creative process.
And the discovery process is just simply an inner inquiry. Well, what is this all about? What is this longing about? What is it that it really means to me to long for this experience, and sometimes what happens in the desiring is that we feel some sense of disappointment or despair or even depression. So we're just unhappy in the desiring because we can't find that which we want. So if we can let desire have its way with us, if you will, doesn't mean we have to change anything yet. It just means that we have this inner journey to begin to wonder, well, what if?
Yeah.
What if? And what would that mean to me?
Yeah.
And what would that, where am I in my life and how am I and what do I know about this? That's the discovery that desiring can bring. And it's a process. It's about, like you say, oh, I see somebody that has the life that I want to have, that maybe left the corporate world and has her own work in the world, or has just had a longing for baby and now is choosing to stay to have baby and take that journey. And so it's an inner process. It isn't the making it happen or the doing yet. It's getting familiar with and accepting your own desiring.
And the discovery is all about the inquiry as to what it is all about. So you have a desire to feel freedom. Let's call it time freedom. And that is why you think you need to create a business. So you want to get out of your cubicle. You're sick and tired of punching the clock. You don't want to tell anybody else where you're going, why you're going there, and what time. You want to have the freedom to make those decisions for yourself. Applause. Now, the discovery is the phase where you're actually looking into what is that about. Is it about what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you to be able to take care of your own time? What does it mean? Why is that important to you? Why is it important to you that you don't have to go to your boss and request time off? That you can just make that call when you get up in the morning for yourself. The discovery phase is a very important part of desiring, because it will, when you lean into it, it gives you more insights into why you're desiring what you're desiring. So it's that process that takes you a little deeper.
What is this longing for? What is it really about? What's missing is often a question we need to ask. Well, what is missing in my life? Mm-hmm. So to not be reluctant to look into what's missing, what's not okay, so that in that discovery, oh, I see, this whole aspect of my life or my life experience is not informed yet. No wonder I'm unhappy. Yeah. So it's a little bit allowing for none of us, everybody wants to be, positive and I'm I'm going to just make the best of everything, which is great. But the secret inner journey can be this wondering, what is this about? What's this really? This maybe even feeling of unhappiness. What is that about? And also then in the discovery, this quiet place, where am I in my life? Meaning my age, my stage, my environment, my external situation, my relationships. It's a real time of just getting the lay of the land, inner and outer. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of a whole process. The creative process is a journey of yes. And so now I'm in this discovery, the yes. Okay, I say yes to my own longing. Yeah? All right, let's see. So what's possible? Then the dream stage engages the faculty of imagination. And every child's born with imagination, yeah? Mm-hmm. So now I've said yes to this yearning for something different, notwithstanding all the circumstances of my life.
And the dream world is really that space where you don't worry about the how or the what and when. You just dream. When I was 11, we were still living in former communist Germany. And up until this point, I mean, I was not exposed to West German TV or we did not know what was happening west of us. My mom and dad may have known a little bit more, and we have had some letter exchanges with family that lived in capitalist Germany, West Germany, but we didn't have a clear understanding until someone traveled over there and got to experience it, and came back telling stories, or we got the odd magazine. But the East German government very much wanted us to not understand what was outside of our idyllic socialistic world, right? So I did not know. I had never been to West Germany. I did not know what it was like, so I had no idea. But I had imagined what it would be like. And when my mom and dad applied to leave East Germany, I recall this moment where I was sitting with my friends in our little shed that we had built in the woods, and I was sharing with them this I was sharing with them that my mom and dad and we were going to leave for West Germany. And I could just feel in my stomach what it would be like to walk into a store there, or to be able to buy oranges. We didn't have oranges, right? Like, we got oranges once a year, and so I had no idea what it would be like to just walk into a store and buy an orange. But that moment when I was sitting there with my friends, I was imagining what that would be like and what that would feel like. That's the dream stage.
Because when we go into the imaginal space, it isn't just wishing and hoping. Mm-hmm. It's actually, we allow different parts actually of our right brain, which is not so much in service most of the time. Mm-hmm. We're kind of hunkered down in the get the job done in our left brain. Yeah. The right brain, right? It's and maybe this and maybe that, ways and means that you never even thought of, because the left brain is the logic rational brain, and it operates from what it knows. Yeah. But the right brain, in the imaginal self, it's not restricted by what is already known. Yeah. So it can. Oh, all right. Well, I never thought of that. Oh, I never thought. Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful spot to be for transitioning and creating a different life and creating a different business as well, right? So you're not so much in that left brain where you're recreating what someone else has already created or what's already been done, but you're actually giving yourself that space for something completely different, unique, different, new, that possibility.
Yes, and there's a looping around in the creative space as well. It is not a linear process. So when I'm in the imaginal phase, I might have a loop back into discovery, and what I become aware of is, oh, well, that's really not me, but this is me. This would be my way. Oh, and then well, what if I could actually create let's say, a business that was uniquely me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I see how that works.
Right. So what you're saying when you're relooping, you're going back to desire, discovery, and then back to dream. So you might, like you said, it's not linear, but you're going back and forth between the stages.
Yes. So it's all a process.
So how do you know then when the right time is to move into the next phase, which then is design?
It's momentum, and it's so great that you asked that question, because the desiring, the longing for something different, even though I don't know what that necessarily is the momentum. It's not the end game anymore. It's the momentum of desire that keeps me moving. So by now I have honored that desire and let the desiring move me into discovery, spent time in discovery, who am I, where am I, and then moving into the imaginal, the dream phase. And in that phase, I support my own desiring. Right now, I have a picture, if you will. I've formed a felt experience of what it will be like as I move into design. So it's so important, because if we skip these creative phases, discovery and dream, then the design phase is when we bring in much more of the masculine energy, if you will, or the design energy, which is the left brain, to think of it in another way.
Yes.
If we move there too fast, what happens is it shuts down. Well, I don't know how. I don't have enough money. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too not enough this or too much that, and all of this sort of yak talk track comes in and shuts it down. So the time spent in the imaginal phase is the time that gives the momentum into design, where we need to be able to translate the imaginal, that felt experience, into reality. So it may need modifying, it may need shifting and changing, but it's not going to lose its momentum. I'm not going to let the woulda, coulda, shoulds stop me. I'm going to keep on going. And if I need to look back into now what was that? What did I imagine again? Yeah. I do that. Yeah. If I need to go back even into the desiring, now what was it I really set out to do? I do that. So it's much more of a cyclical process.
Which is why it's a circle.
Why we learn as women to think about it as a cycle.
The fourth stage of the creative process is the design stage. And in the design stage, we move more into the masculine qualities. Okay, so up until now, we've been very much residing in the feminine qualities and the feminine values, and more or less in the right brain. And now we're moving into the left brain. The design stage is where things typically get very tricky, because this is where, and I hear this a lot from women specifically, where they feel the imposter syndrome, where they feel like, oh God, I'm not enough. Oh God, I don't know enough. Oh God, who am I to do this? It's that place where now it comes to actually moving forward and showing up. In the design phase, we have to be still very gentle with ourselves because of what I just described, where we are very doubtful and self-conscious and very sensitive and very vulnerable. One of the best descriptions of the design phase that I've heard is that, we naturally want to do what we do really well. But we would never consider ourselves to be experts in it. But we obviously gravitate to wanting to do something that we do really well and we enjoy doing. So imagine now taking that precious thing that you've been doing probably for 20, 30 years, very naturally and mostly for free because you love doing it, and attaching a business to it and monetizing from it or having to sell it. It just puts so much pressure all of a sudden on this little fragile gift of your talent or of your creation. Lots of business owners experience this when they, especially with a physical product that they created, like a painting or jewelry or something like that, where they have been told by friends, family, how beautiful their creations are, but then suddenly when they have to put it on a website or they have to put it into a store, they feel extremely vulnerable because they're afraid of the judgment that they're about to face from the naysayers or the haters. And that is a very real thing. So the design phase is a very fragile phase of the creative circle. And it also needs to be said right now that at this design phase, it could very much happen that you move back into the dream phase, or that you move back into the discovery phase naturally before you come back to the design phase, because you might be deepening an aspect of your creation a little bit more. We miss the flowers along the way. I used to go hiking with my friend who, we commented on this. Actually, this is great that this comes up right now. Thank you. We used to go hiking and she was very much, let's call it goal oriented, right? Like top of the mountain, that was the goal, that was where we wanted to be. And she would have to wait for me all the time, including her dog, and they would wait because I was back there somewhere taking pictures with the flowers along the way. And she would comment in a friendly way always about that, And I said, well, for me, it's not about there. It's about what is along the way that I'd like to enjoy, It's like smell the roses along the way, So that's where this took me, what you just said. It's a process. It's not, if we detach from this end goal that it has to look and be and feel and be this certain thing, we can be so much more because we have so many more influences that come along the way. Mm-hmm. What did come up when you said that was, is there something we can do to set ourselves up so that we don't lose track of that along the way? Mm-hmm. Because for me personally, I know that as a creative, there are so many ideas, and I get very quickly, I lose control. I don't like using those words, but I feel that sense of loss and overwhelm because there's so much and nothing is happening. It just feels like I'm in this big space of all this possibility, and I can't grab onto any tangible thing at all. And I feel that there's many people that share that, that feel that they need some more tangible, okay, now what? Now where do I go,
Mm-hmm.
So is there something that you've, over the years, experimented with that worked really well that we can do?
Two things. The desire, as the desire emerges, the clarity in discovery is, okay, what is it I am really wanting to create? Like, what's my intention? And the intention is about the felt experience I want to have. And it's about the felt experience. So to use your example, Yvonne, to be on a hike, a climb, I can see where I'm headed. I know what that would, I have an idea of what I will feel like when I crest, I get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
I can see it and I have it in mind, and I have this imaginal feeling of what it's actually going to feel like. Otherwise, it's like, okay,
Why am I doing
this again? It's because I want the experience, maybe of the climb itself for some, the challenge of the climb, maybe of the beautiful meadows of wildflowers along the way, maybe of the views, all of that. But I'm also in my heart's, in my desire place, I also am knowing that this is where my intention is. My intention is to be at the top of this mountain. But I'm not hunkered down and looking at my feet all the way up.
Right.
You know? So the two what's unique is two things. One is the desiring always. Now, why was I doing this again? I don't know about you, but when I've climbed, I have to remind myself, now why did I do this again?
Oh yeah.
Oh, and I've not been up there before. I hope when I get up there, the clouds don't set in. But I have this longing for that experience. And I have to remind myself along the way. But also, in the creative process, it's a process. If I need to stop and smell the wildflowers, then I do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not an end game without awareness of the journey itself. Because the journey itself, like your example, is so amazing. The climb is so amazing.
That would then bring us into the devotion, which is the fifth D out of this cycle that we've talked about. And what can you tell us about the devotion piece? So is that what we just talked about, where we know what it's going to feel like, we know what it's going to do for us and for everyone around us, and that's why we continue to do it. That's why we continue to go onto these hikes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Devotion is I use that way of considering the creative process because it speaks to my love of something that I started out with. If I'm creating, it's because I really have this love for something that really the devotion is to being able to stand on the top of that mountain and see the grandeur, right? So it's a deeper heart desire.
For those of you who can't relate to the hiking example, maybe you can relate to yoga, because that is very much that same deepening of desire over and over again. It's one, like initially it might be just to get on the mat and to get some poses right, but as your practice deepens, it's about much more than that. That devotion deepens into how you feel and how you can really sink into the poses and so on. So that example came to mind as well. But when you said about devotion,
it's also so in my work, all kinds of longings appear in my office, and often they appear as discontent, maybe even depression, because there's something so unsatisfied. And whether that's a different way to live my life than the daily corporate grind, or whether that's a loving relationship, a family, children, more space for my creative, my artistic projects, or whatever it is. It's it's a deeper, more that resonates really deeply within me, right?
Mm-hmm. I can feel you on this because certainly I have been in your office, and I have been one of these people that have come to you with less of a "this is what I want to do" with huge excitement. It really showed up through my dissatisfaction.
Yes,
is how we discovered what it is that I really long for and what I really desire. And so we've certainly done this circle a few times, haven't we?
and it's also I would just on what you just said, to really start to kind of welcome discontent or dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to go from, let's say, okay, I'm unhappy at my workplace, okay, I quit. It's not like that, which is where women who have they have had an experience of creating new life, or just know they carried the womb inside, or have been exposed to someone who's been pregnant with a new life, so that you can know that something is brewing, something is longing, desiring, and but it doesn't have to be done right away.
Yes.
So you can kind of nurture it and incubate it, if you will, in this lovely inner space, and then move into the design and delivery.
Thank you for saying that, because I think that is such an instrumental piece these days, with especially as it feels culture and society is moving more and more towards this instant gratification, and the ability to have whatever we desire at a finger snap.
Yes.
It includes our dreams and desires.
Yes, it does.
And so I really appreciate what you just said.
Devotion is the place where, in simple terms, we just keep showing up. No matter what, we just keep showing up. And devotion is much deeper than that, but in its very simple form, it's the recommitting to the process, to your heart's desire, to feeling the way you want to feel, and doing what it takes to feel that way. So devotion is all about recognizing discontent and recognizing that it's not just a linear process. So just because you've discovered you want to be a business owner doesn't mean that now all of a sudden you've got it made, you're done, and you're over that and you're on to the next thing. It means that you are going to reevaluate and you're going to recommit to the process, or not. You might discover along the way that the way that you had originally set this up is not the way you want to continue this journey on, or you want to make some adjustments. So devotion is all about devoting to core desires, devoting to how you want to feel, and really understanding your part in all of this. So the self-care, having a good support network, having the things that have worked for you that you can fall back onto, and perhaps having some practices, devotion practices. So whether that's journaling, or whether that's writing in general, or whether that is having a coach by your side, or whether that is having a meditation practice, strongly recommended meditation practice. But the devotion to a practice that serves you is what the last cycle is all about.
Things can come together in ways that we couldn't have dreamt up ourselves, right? Yeah. It's kind of like, how did that happen? Yeah. And so the materializing is what devotion allows. So just because I can't see, so if you think about the life of a baby as she is growing within, I really can't see baby,
Yes.
right? But I can see maybe some expansion. But baby is growing and developing, and so that's also true in our world and in our experience.
Mm-hmm.
Developments are happening. People are coming into our lives. Things are shifting and changing in ways that we can't really see, maybe, until, oh, right, that's here. Oh, right, that fits with this. Oh, I get it. Okay, if I put that with this. And then it's, that's the way that materializing happens. It's not about making it happen. It's about seeing, oh, it is happening.
Yes.
And maybe not exactly the way I thought it would, or the way, I always say that, my husband of 34 years materialized, but I didn't know he would be short like me. I thought he would be tall, but I didn't know that the form he would come in would be as cute as a button, kind of short like me.
I love that.
So materializing, it comes together in a way that we don't always, if people show up, things change, and all of a sudden it's, oh, I see, it's here, right?
Yeah. Any last words for us that is really on your heart today that you want us to know and want us to take away?
What's always on my heart is the let's go.
Mm-hmm.
The understanding that creation is always underway, right? And that we are in tough times in our world these days. Lots of challenges right here in our own province, right? But to know that that there is always a possibility, and to move into a creative process, to not be afraid of feeling the desiring that may be kind of depressing even. It's like, oh, hard times. And okay, so what's called for, What's missing, and what might that be like? What's this calling? So it is hope in action, really, the creative process.
Hope in action.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Thanks,
What wants
Yvonne.
to emerge?
What wants to emerge?
Yeah.
What wants to emerge all the time?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much. That was very, very helpful, and I'm really excited to share this and to have you back for another talk on deepening.
Deepening, good.
Into either one of the categories or whatever we want to emerge, what we need to talk about. But I think that this is timely, and thank you for the wise words on not to dwell in the negativity of it, but to embrace it and see what really wants to come out here, like what needs to be done about it. Right?
Good.
Yeah.
And together, let's go.
Let's go.
Hey love, did you enjoy this conversation? Then join in at www.yvonnewinkler.com/blog and leave me a comment of what you liked about this episode and why. If this added value to your life, then please share this with all of your friends on social media and hashtag The Freedom Seeker Show. I really appreciate you watching and helping me spread the word. And as a token of my appreciation for sharing this episode, your name will be entered into my monthly gratitude draw for a chance to win something from my favorite product list. So don't forget the hashtag The Freedom Seeker Show. I'll see you next time. Rise, bloom, and radiate.